There's a popular saying, he who chases two rabbits catches none. All-in-one marketing platforms are tools that have multiple features all in one tool. They'll have email marketing, CRM, social media management, even invoicing all in one platform. While it's easy to understand the value proposition of these tools, I have to say I've found them to be largely ineffective. I've been in marketing nearly 20 years, and I have yet to see a tool that is actually greater than the sum of its parts. For the most part, I've seen that these platforms are just money pits. They promise a lot, do a little bit, and just keep businesses trapped in their ecosystem. It's easy to understand why these tools exist. There's so many different tools, and it gets messy when you have customer data in different silos and you're not sure how to tie it all together. Or if you're starting a new business, it's hard to know what tools you even need or how they can talk to each other. It just gets really overwhelming. These platforms market themselves as all-in-one tools. You can attract new customers, manage them, and scale your business all in one place. Sounds too good to be true. So what's the reality of using these tools? A business owner or inexperienced marketer has a pretty limited grasp of how to approach marketing strategically, what tactics they need, and what tools they'll need in order to get the job done. So I get that a all-in-one toolbox is super appealing. You don't have to figure out this tons of different tools, figure out how to tie them together. You can just go to one source and have it all there, right? But the reality is, once you try to do everything at once and jam everything into the same toolbox, you lose precision and you lose efficacy. And that's the trade-off. By building a tool that can do everything, you're building a tool that can't do anything very well. This is obvious, but every business is different. They're going to need different tools, different approaches, even different reporting. Even two businesses in the same industry or the same niche will have different needs. So let's say you have a roofing company in a small town of about 45,000 people. They're going to need things like community involvement, word of mouth, some out-of-home or physical marketing in order to reach their customers. Now, let's contrast that to a roofing company in a metro area of several million people. They're absolutely going to need to rely on things like review sites and SEO, and there's no way they're going to be able to afford a billboard or an out-of-home marketing message. So with an all-in-one marketing platform, both of these roofing businesses will be paying for tools that they won't use and that they don't need. A lot of these platforms promise really big savings when you add up all the different tools that you could potentially use rolled up into their one platform, but a lot of those are just extraneous and that you simply don't need. Or you may just not use all the features. So let's look at an example. I chose high level. This pricing page was on their homepage, so we can go through the features that they promise, how much they cost, and what their tool potentially saves you. So you can see here they list multiple different tools, everything from CRM and pipeline management to SMS marketing, booking and appointments, all these other different tools. Again, depending on the business, even businesses in the same industry, they may just not need these tools. But looking at these prices, okay, they've pulled the prices for the other tools. Something that stands out to me immediately is this white labeled desktop app. So you'll notice the price here is $5,000 one time plus $499 monthly. I'm not really sure what this means. I assume they mean if you're going with a third-party developer. However, on their pricing table, they don't actually include that in high level. It's just called an optional add-on. So right from the jump, they're misleading you with their pricing. You can see the total is $7,000 a month with all these other tools added up, but that includes this white labeled desktop app that isn't actually included in their pricing. So we're comparing apples to oranges here. It just doesn't make sense. So you can take that out right away, and that reduces the other tool's price quite a bit. So let's say your website builder is on WordPress. So if you consider that website builder in this list of tools here, that really changes the price of all these other tools to about $1,000 per month, because WordPress can do lots of other things that are included on this tool list. So WordPress has all kinds of tools and plugins built in. That's one of the primary selling points of WordPress, is that it's an underlying platform and you can have all kinds of plugins that you add onto it. So if we look at this list of tools from high level, WordPress can do sales funnels, it can do surveys and forms, it can also do courses and products, and it can do communities. So if you take all of those off of this list, wrap it into your website, that saves quite a bit of money on this other tool list. So if we take all of those off, then we're down to just $1,000 a month for all of these tools listed above, which is very different from the $7,000 a month high level is claiming. But wait, there's more. Reputation management is free. You can just go in and manually check your Home Advisor, Angie, Google reviews, or Yelp reviews, this really doesn't become untenable until you have about 1,000 customers a day. The tracking and analytics function listed here also can be done with Google Analytics. It's a free tool and very easy to use, very customizable. So if we take reputation management and tracking and analytics off, now we're down to about $570 total for all the tools that you would need, again, versus their claimed $7,000 a month. And that's leaving in things like SMS marketing and document signing, which not every business will need. I also have questions about workflow automations, but we can table that later. Truly, this is something that you can pay a developer to do for you once and then never really need to pay monthly ongoing. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the video. So let's look at this chart again with all the extra stuff edited out. If you add this all up, it equals about $570 a month, and I'm being generous with the tools we're continuing to include. Paints a bit of a different picture, doesn't it? So one of the issues with these holistic platforms is when they have issues. If they're having an issue with their tech, there's a bug, or it's just being slow, your entire business is now ground to a halt because everything is built on their one platform. Another issue is integrations and moving data around and between other tools. Other specialized tools, like an email marketing platform specifically, has to play nice with other tools because market pressures dictate that it must, right? If you have an email marketing tool from one company and a customer database from another company, it's in their best interest that these two platforms can share information and talk to each other. Compare this to the all-in-one tools where their best interest is keeping a walled garden and not letting you leave their tool for something else. They get to decide how nice they want to play with other tools, and often they choose not to. Yet another downside of these all-in-one marketing tools is flexibility and scalability. These are things that you lose when you have an all-in-one tool. Businesses are like babies. They need constant attention, they make messes, and you're never really sure why they're upset. They need something different every single day. And there's a huge difference in a business that's going from a startup to early stage, from early stage to mid-maturity. Their needs are going to change pretty rapidly. By using an array of different tools, it's much easier to swap one piece out when you need to replace it, versus having to replace your entire platform. So how does this really play out when you're using an all-in-one marketing tool? I'll tell you a couple stories. So recently I was on a call with a client who was getting onboarded into an all-in-one tool. This tool said it could handle incoming leads, manage their marketing, wash and wax their cars every weekend, and do analytics. This tool also said they had social media management and scheduling built in, which seems great, right? Except they required that all of the posts to be published natively from their platform to things like Facebook and Instagram. I asked, well, what if we publish natively on something like Facebook or Instagram? Does that data then pull back into your tool? Because this client was in the trades business, they have people out in the field all the time. They're not going to log into this specialized tool in order to make a social media post. They're just going to pull up Instagram, take a photo, and then publish it from there. So it was important that we had the flexibility of we could publish, some of the planned posts in this tool, and also have some of the people out in the field be able to publish natively on Facebook or Instagram, and again, have it pull back into this all-in-one tool. They promised social media analytics, so you would think you need analytics for all of the posts that you're publishing. Except this tool did not pull information in. If you posted natively on the platform itself, it didn't come back into their tool because they were too cheap to pay for the upgraded API. So they said in order to get their robust social media analytics reporting, we had to publish everything through their tool, not on the native platforms at all. But other more specialized tools that handle social media, something like Hootsuite or Sprout Social, they're able to handle that. You can publish through their tool itself or natively on the platform, and it pulls everything in so that you have a complete holistic reporting view. But this all-in-one tool didn't want to pay for that, so they left out a key piece of this functionality. So when it came time to do monthly reporting on social media, we had to go in and manually update the reporting ourselves, which took 2 to 3 times longer than if the tool was able to just capture posts regardless of where it was posted from. So it cost the client a lot more money and took us more time just because this all-in-one tool didn't want to pay for an upgraded API. Here's another example of these all-in-one platforms not being as great as they say they are. I had another client who was using one of these tools and they got sold into it, promised that it can handle emails. Of course, once we started to dig in, what they meant by emails was that it could send one-off broadcast or newsletters, but it couldn't do automations or triggers that was an extra upcharge of $300 additional a month that they did not tell the client during the sales process. I wish I could say that was different, but it happens all the time with these kind of platforms. Another issue is the limited feature scope of these platforms. So their job is to be everything for everyone, and so they're going to have a limit on what kind of features they will add to their platform. A specialized tool, again, I referenced earlier the social media platforms like Hootsuite or Sprout Social, they need to stay on the cutting edge of new features and new technologies in order to stay competitive. However, these all-in-one marketing platforms, they don't have that same incentive. They want to offer the bare minimum feature set that they can, and then only upgrade things after people start asking for them. And then it takes them time to add that into their development and then get that rolled out into the tool. So for example, when Instagram stories first came out, that was a really key feature and still is of the platform. There's many people who use Instagram stories as the main way they interact with Instagram. Specialized social media tools had that integrated and added pretty quickly, where you could post and schedule stories from their tools. All-in-one platforms, there are still multiple ones today where you can't schedule or post an Instagram story from that tool. It's because they're incentivized to just stay as broad and generic as possible. They really only add new features when people really start asking for it and really complaining about it. And I found it just takes them so much longer to catch up to what the rest of the market is doing. And this adds a lot of friction. So think about for your business, if you're using this all-in-one tool, you're going to use the tool and the features that are there and available to you. You may not be exposed to or thinking about these new cutting edge technologies, features, trends in other marketing tools and techniques. So by using this tool, you're kind of limiting yourself to only what they give you and what's available versus what's actually happening in the market. So over months and years, this can grind away at how your business does business and how it markets itself. You'll find that over the years, you just become increasingly outdated and increasingly ineffective. That loss of innovation adds up over time. So consider the cost of a couple $100s a month savings now and what you're missing out on by not staying up to date with what the market wants. I don't mean to be overly harsh on these platforms. Clearly, I have a certain opinion of them, but they do have a place in the market. Their value proposition is pretty clear and understandable. It takes this messy, confusing marketplace of all these different tools and makes setting them up and managing them a one-stop shop. For businesses that aren't in tech, so something like accounting or the trades businesses, they just don't have exposure to all the different tools that are out there, so they don't even know what they should be looking for when they're creating their marketing stack. Then they get a cold call one day from an all-in-one marketing platform that promises to make all the confusing tech mess just go away. I get why they sign up with them. So what are my recommendations for most small businesses? I constantly get asked, what tool should we use for this? Is this the right tool for this? They get really anxious about choosing the best tool. And the answer is that these specialized tools and platforms, think of email, something like MailChimp or Keep, there's really no difference between these platforms. There's, tiny little feature comparisons you can do, but generally, if it's a specialized tool that's been around for a while, it has to have a certain set of features and functionality in order to compete with its competitors. So really, don't worry too much about which tool is absolutely perfect or that you have to have the best one. My argument is that you need to have a tool that will fit your needs the best and that you actually use, instead of this big blobby all-in-one platform with half the features and functionality that you might actually need. So one of the arguments against having individualized tools is the fear that these won't talk to each other, that you're missing out on collecting data and integrating data, or having certain workflows and automations happen between them. There's lots of tools that enable functionality between these different platforms. Something like Zapier or If This Then That can set up automations really easily. But my real recommendation is to just hire a software engineer. So I'll give you an example. We had an issue with our project management tool. When we were doing capacity planning for the team, we needed to know, okay, if they can work 40 hours a week, how many hours of that week are they in meetings? Because then that reduces the amount of time they're available to actually work on tasks. And so our project manager was going directly into their Google Calendar, looking at all their meetings, and then putting it into our project management tool. And that was taking her between 5 and 10 hours every 2 weeks. Just really manual, kind of gritty process, not something she needs to be spending her time on. So I could have used Zapier in order to do this, paid $20 a month for the rest of my life and been fine. But what I did is I hired an engineer for about 3 to 4 hours. They set up our own automation where it automatically scrapes everybody's meetings from Google Calendar, puts it into our project management tool, tags it correctly, has the number of hours there. And so now our project manager just has to simply press a button and this automation runs and all the meetings are put into the tool. So this really saved us about $350 a month as soon as we instituted it. So the money I paid for the engineer more than paid for itself. That was a one-time cost. And now this saves us a material amount of money every month. So let's wrap this up. I'll stop ranting about these tools. These jack of all trades, all-in-one tools are masters of none. It's much better to go with a collection of specialized tools that you actually need. It's Economics 101, that specialization leads to efficiency. You will get the best in class of the individual tools that you actually need for your business. You wouldn't expect a general practitioner to perform your open heart surgery, so it's the same thing with these marketing tools. The smarter move is to go with a bespoke set of tools instead of an all-in-one platform. I understand that can be a little more intimidating and a little more difficult to set up, but the time and energy you spend at the outset will save you a ton of money in the long run and give you, again, the best-in-class features and functionality that will help your business stay on the cutting edge. Your business isn't generic, and your tools shouldn't be either. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for letting me rant about this. If you have any questions about what tools are good for your business, leave a comment down below, and leave this video a like. It really helps us out. Thanks.